Have you ever noticed that we give ourselves the same advice for every difficult situation? Work harder, hold on a little longer, just push through it. We say it so often, we rarely stop to ask whether it's actually the right advice. But somewhere else in your life, there is a completely different kind of struggle. A job that drains you every morning, a relationship that no longer feels alive, a responsibility you never asked for, a situation you cannot fix, no matter how hard you try. And somehow, you are using the same response for both. That is where most people get trapped, because not every hard thing is asking for more effort, and not every hard thing is asking for acceptance. Some battles are meant to be fought harder, others are only making you bleed. The problem is that, from the inside, they can feel almost identical, so people keep pouring their strength into the wrong place. They keep pushing when they should be letting go, and they let go when they should have held on a little longer. Long before self-help and hustle culture, Japanese wisdom drew a line between those two kinds of suffering, a line that most of us were never taught to see. And once you understand it, you may never look at the words "keep going" the same way again. The strange part is, this confusion isn't really our fault. It's built into the way we think. Psychologists have long known that when we're under stress, our brains crave certainty. We want one simple rule that works everywhere. Fight, don't quit, push through. Simple rules feel safe because they remove the burden of deciding, but life rarely works that way. In psychology, this is sometimes called cognitive simplicity, our tendency to rely on one familiar strategy even when different situations require different responses. It saves mental effort, but it also leads to costly mistakes. Imagine a doctor prescribing the same medicine for every patient. A broken arm, pneumonia, food poisoning. The medicine itself might be effective, just not for every illness. The same is true for perseverance. Sometimes more effort is exactly what's needed. Other times, more effort only deepens the damage. Yet our culture rarely teaches us to tell the difference. Hustle culture has one answer: work harder. Motivational posters have one answer: never give up. Social media celebrates the people who pushed through impossible odds. It rarely tells the stories of those who kept pushing long after the battle was already lost. Centuries before modern psychology described this trap, the Japanese had already recognized that endurance comes in two completely different forms. One is the courage to keep acting, the other is the wisdom to stop fighting what cannot be changed. They gave these two kinds of strength different names: Ganbaru and Gaman. They sound similar, but confusing them can quietly shape the direction of an entire life. The first idea is Ganbaru. You've probably heard its most famous expression before. Ganbat, a phrase shouted before an exam, before a sports competition, before someone takes on something difficult. It is often translated as, do your best. But the deeper meaning is more interesting. Ganbaru is not simply about working harder. It is about committing yourself fully to something where your actions can still make a difference. A student studying for an important exam, an athlete training before a competition, someone learning a difficult skill, someone rebuilding their health one day at a time. In all these situations, effort creates movement. Your choices today influence what becomes possible tomorrow. Modern psychology has studied this idea too. Psychologist Angela Duckworth, known for her research on grit, found that long-term perseverance can play an important role in achieving difficult goals. But her research also revealed something important. Persistence alone is not enough. The goal has to be meaningful. The direction has to matter. Because effort without the right direction can become a trap. This is where many people misunderstand Ganbaru. They think strength means continuing no matter what. But Ganbaru was never about blindly suffering. It was about giving your best to something that deserves your best. The problem begins when we take this powerful idea and apply it everywhere. A person stays in a workplace that destroys their health because they believe leaving means failure. Someone keeps trying to fix a relationship where only one person is fighting. Someone spends years chasing approval from people who were never going to give it. The effort is real. The dedication is real. But the question becomes, is your strength actually moving you forward, or are you just spending it? This is where Japanese wisdom makes a distinction that modern hustle culture often misses. Working harder is not always the answer. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is recognize when effort has stopped creating change. If Ganbaru asks, "What can I change?" Gaman asks a different question, "What must I learn to carry?" This idea became deeply rooted in Japan through Zen Buddhism, where resisting reality was often seen as the beginning of unnecessary suffering. Not all pain can be solved. Some pain can only be understood. Imagine standing in the ocean during a storm. You cannot command the waves to stop. You cannot argue with the tide. The harder you fight the ocean, the faster you exhaust yourself. Sometimes survival depends on swimming. Sometimes it depends on floating. That is Gaman. Modern psychology arrived at a remarkably similar conclusion. Psychologist Dr. Stephen Hayes, the founder of acceptance and commitment therapy, spent decades studying why people remain psychologically stuck. His research found something surprising. Much of our suffering doesn't come from pain itself. It comes from our endless struggle against pain we cannot remove. The more desperately we try to eliminate every uncomfortable emotion, the more power those emotions often gain over us. Acceptance, in this context, isn't surrender. It's making room for reality instead of wasting your life fighting it. Long before this study, Japanese culture already had a word for this kind of strength, gaman. But here's where people misunderstand it. Gaman does not mean staying silent in an abusive relationship. It does not mean accepting injustice. It does not mean becoming passive. Those are distortions of the idea. Real gaman begins only after you've honestly asked, "Have I done everything that could reasonably change this?" If the answer is yes, then your energy has a new job. Not changing reality, but changing your relationship with reality. That is a completely different kind of courage. Because sometimes the strongest person in the room isn't the one who keeps pushing. It's the one who knows exactly when pushing has become self-destruction. And that is the line separating Ganbaru from Gaman. One creates growth. The other creates peace. The wisdom is knowing which one your life is asking for today. At some point, life will place something difficult in front of you. It might be a conversation you've been avoiding, a dream you're close to giving up on, a responsibility that feels unbearably heavy, or a chapter that you already know is coming to an end. Before you react the way you always have, pause for just a moment. Ask yourself one question. Is this asking for Ganbaru or Gaman? Should I give this more of my effort? Or should I stop fighting what cannot be changed and protect the strength I still have? That single question won't solve every problem, but it might stop you from spending years fighting the wrong battle. I hope you found some clarity after watching this video, and if you enjoy exploring timeless ideas from Japanese culture not as productivity hacks, but as practical wisdom for modern life, consider subscribing. Remember, the biggest change doesn't come from learning something new. It comes from finally having the right words for what you've been feeling all along. Until next time.